Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another regular podcast. And for this one, once again, we got another podcast about the NFL. And in my mind, this NFL season has, in my mind, has been the most craziest I've ever seen. So what's going on, guys? Welcome back. And we have to remember everything that has happened. The absolute surprising teams coming into this season, absolute winning streaks before this week 16 even happened. So, let's look at the AFC to start. Now, I think everyone remembers from our last podcast, we talked about the NFL, and you saw, which is literally I forgot what it's called. But you saw the playoff picture, and it has definitely changed. But only for the AFC. Nothing has changed in the NFC at all. These teams have been fighting for their absolute life to get in the playoffs. So, let's look at the AFC to start this off. After being the top team in the AFC, the Chiefs fall down just one spot as the second seed in the AFC. The Miami Dolphins, with their wide receiver threat, start off great. But I feel like teams figure out their wide receiver threat. And now the Dolphins went from a great team to now trying to fight for a wild card spot. Trying to make sure they hold on to that 7th seed for the remainder of the season. The Titans, after being the third best team in the AFC, fall down to the 10th. After, it was definitely a huge drop. From 3rd to literally 7 seeds down. And because of one team only, the Jags, literally taking over. They're now taking over the AFC South. And the Jags, they are just somehow they might pull a miracle here if they can do something about trying to win those other 2 games. They got the Texans and they got the Titans. That's their final 2 games. They're just going against divisional teams. And that last game versus the Titans is definitely something they hope to win. And definitely they hope to win like the last 2. Now for the Ravens, after being the 4th seed, they just fall down just one spot because the Bengals are on a 7-game winning streak. And looking to be the best team in the AFC. And right now they're the best team in the AFC North. The Buffalo Bills, this is wild. After being the 5th seed, made a huge increase. Now they are the best team in the AFC and right behind the Eagles as the best team in the NFL. Like I just mentioned, the Eagles used to be the 6th seed. They had troubles and they finally have no troubles at all. They figured out what they need to do. And the Jets, who used to be 7th, now dropped to 9th. So once again, I told you that this NFC has not changed at all. It really has not changed at all. And right now, I feel like the top dogs of the NFC are the Eagles, Vikings, 49ers, and Cowboys. And I feel like 49ers, I think Brock Purdy, he's a great quarterback. I think if Jimmy Garoppolo comes back the start of the playoffs. And here's the thing, I know the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. They're already they're going to be the division champs of the NFC West. So, I would say bring Jimmy back. But if Jimmy gets hurt, you know you can trust your guy, Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. He's probably relevant now. Mr. Relevant. Now, the Eagles, they just lost to the Cowboys. And right now, the Eagles, they have not clinched their division yet. Even though they're 13-2, the Cowboys are knocking on their door. The Cowboys are 11-4 right now. So, yeah, the Eagles definitely, they face the Saints next week. So, yeah, they want to win that game to make sure. Here's the thing, the only situation here is the Eagles have to, here's the thing. If the Eagles win one game, I think that's the situation. If the Eagles win one game, they are the NFC East champs. But here's the thing, the Cowboys know, all the Cowboys fans know they're in the playoffs. So the Cowboys just want to get that championship in the division. They just want to get that division championship. For For the Vikings, this was an absolute surprise. They upset the Bills close to mid-season. Also having the biggest comeback in NFL history. So yeah, and also during that game when they made a huge comeback, with that win, they actually clinched the NFC North. So the rest of the NFC, we got the Giants, the Bucks, and the Commanders. They're still in there. So after a long regular season, and more of the regular season comes soon, let's take a look at some of the best passing, rushing, and receiving yards here. So, let's start with passing. So, for passing, we have attempts, completion, like the most attempts, most completions, best completion percentage, the most passing yards, and most touchdowns. So, for most attempts, we have the Buccaneers with 672. Definitely a lot. The most completions, though, the Buccaneers also have with 443. So they are looking like a team 66%, more than 66% completion rate when passing the ball. Now the best completion percentage, though, is the Seahawks, and right now they're trying to get in that wild card spot. They have a completion percentage of 70.6, so definitely a great percentage to have for a passing team. The most passing yards, though, goes to the Dolphins because they're wide receiver threat, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with 4,348 yards. That's definitely a lot. The most touchdowns, the Chiefs, of course, with 37 touchdowns. My goodness. For rushing, we have the most rushing yards, most yards per carry, and most touchdowns. So, the most rushing yards has been the Bears. 2,696. That's a lot of rush yards, definitely. The most yards per carry it's a tie between the Bills and Ravens with 5.3 yards per carry. Definitely the Ravens' run game has been getting better and better throughout the season because of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, that dynamic running back duo in Baltimore. Most touchdowns being the Eagles with 31 rushing touchdowns. That's a lot. Receiving, the most yards per catch, most receptions, and most touchdowns. So the most yards is Chiefs, 4,720 yards. That's a lot. Once again, there's too many great teams that have so many yards. Most yards per catch is the Dolphins with an average of 13.4 yards per catch. That is, so if you were to face the Dolphins, automatically if they catch the ball, they can get an automatic first down, no problem. Most receptions, the Buccaneers, 443 receptions. Now, for the most touchdowns, once again, it's the Chiefs. Now, they have 37 passing touchdowns, like I said. But here's the thing. They are averaging close to 2 passing touchdowns per game. It equals 14 points, easy, from just passing. Probably also running the ball. They could probably get like 35 points per game. That's how good they are. Lucas. But now, let's look at some next-gen stats of the regular season. So, let's get started. The fastest ball carriers. We have... Let's start with third. I was going to do first to third. Let's do third to first. In third place, you have Deshaun Jackson, who is a part of the Baltimore Ravens. His fastest ball carry was 21.72 miles per hour. In second place, you have a 21.87 miles per hour, Breece Hall. And then first place, 22.09 miles per hour, Kenneth Walker, a part of the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, that's definitely, if I would have raced them, I would not catch up to them at all. Incredible yards after catch. So, what that means is, after you catch the ball, that will track how many yards you have after a catch as soon as you go down. So, we have top 5. So, the top 3 have top 5. Number 5, we got somehow a running back, Derrick Henry, who's a part of the Titans, had a 70-yard play after a catch. 4th place, Laviska Shenault, who's a part of the Panthers, had a 68 yards after a catch. 3rd place, we have Cooper Kupp, who is, you guys know he's a part of the Rams, 72 yards after catch. 2nd, T.J. Hawkinson, who's a part of the Lions, who have been really good, 75 yards after catch. In 1st place, I feel like this might be a no-brainer. One of the Dolphins wide receivers, Jalen Waddle, with a 74 yards after catch. So yeah, so the Dolphins, their wide receiver threat is just, if they get in the playoffs, and Dolphins, I think they are going to face like any of the top 3 teams. They might face the Bills, Chiefs, or Bengals. I would say those 3 teams I just said, they need to prepare for that wide receiver threat. But right now the Bills, because the Bills are in their division, so they know what's up with them. But the other 2, if the Dolphins face the Chiefs or Bengals, those 2 teams need to figure out what they need to do, because the wide receiver threat is going to be something that's going to make them mad. So, let's move on to the final thing for next gen. Remarkable rushes. We're back to the top 3 here. Number 3, we have Dalvin Cook, Week 10 versus the Bills in the upset. 81 rushing yard play. Dang, that is. I don't know when they started at. I don't know when they started the ball at the line of scrimmage, but that's definitely a lot of yards. 2nd, we have Josh Jacobs he's part of the Raiders. Week 12 versus the Seahawks. 86 rushing yard play. And you guys know that Josh Jacobs had an absolute game against the Seahawks, and also getting the game-winning running touchdown in overtime. Now in 1st place, Lamar Jackson, who's a part of the Ravens, Week 2 against the Dolphins, a 79 rushing yard play to get to the end zone for a touchdown. So, with the regular season going to the end, we definitely need to talk about 2 teams in my mind that have surprised me at the end of the regular season. To start off, we're going to start with the Jags. Somehow, they are now the best team. They are now number 1 in the AFC South after a win against the Jets on Thursday night prime time. But let's get more deeper into how this team became the best in the AFC South. Coming into the regular season, they lost all of their preseason games. So the pressure was on, but in my opinion, I feel like no one even cared about the Jags because people know that the team wasn't that great. They wasn't great last year. So after Week 3 somehow, they actually were over 500. They were 2-1, which surprised me and surprised people. Until everything collapsed. They went on a 5-game losing streak. So they got a win in Week 9 against the Raiders. And they lost to the Chiefs next week. But after the bye week, they looked different. The chemistry was good. It was getting better. So they pulled an upset against the Ravens. Lost to the Lions by a margin of 26. And then this is where things became huge for them. Won against Tennessee next week. Dallas in OT with a pick-6 touchdown. And then on Sunday night, winning against the Jets. So right now, a 3-game winning streak. And what I told you guys in the beginning of the video, their last two games are against division opponents, which are the Titans and Texans. So if they want to make this playoff and have an absolute miracle in the regular season, they have to win the next 2 games. And once again, especially their last game against the Titans, which they beat in week 14, so they have a chance. And also, Titans, they do not feel good right now because Ryan Tannehill, the QB for the Titans, is hurt. So that's definitely a problem. And Malik Willis, who's a rookie, has to handle the offense for the Titans. Probably for these last 2 weeks. Now, another surprise is the Detroit Lions. In the first 5 games, they lost 4 out of the 5 games, which didn't surprise people. But when I looked at the scores in each 5 in the first 5 weeks, it's that 3 out of the 5 other games came down to just 1 score. Even when I mean 1 score, I mean like a touchdown or a field goal, not like a 2-possession game. Literally a 1-score game. Almost beating the Philadelphia week 1, but they lost by a field goal. Then after their bye week, once again, they changed as well. The first 2 weeks after the bye, they lost, but they also went on a 3-game losing streak. But then, almost beat the Buffalo Bills in a Thanksgiving game. And then, went on another 3-game winning streak, then lost to the Panthers. So right now, their last 2 games is a primary must-win. And the biggest thing about this is that some teams that are out of the wild card still have a chance to make the wild card, like the Patriots, the Jets, Dolphins, like even the Chargers last night. They have clinched a playoff. Now, here are the teams who need to look on to next season. Also a 2023 draft order here. Now, number one. So this is a projected 2023 draft order. So number 1 projected pick for it will be the Texans, then Bears, Cardinals, Broncos, Colts, Falcons, Rams, and Browns. So that's the projected order right now, which is 8 teams. So here are some of the teams that have already made the playoffs so far. The Bills, of course, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Chiefs, of course, the Eagles, the Cowboys, Vikings, and 49ers. Ladies and gentlemen, this NFL season is just going to get crazier and crazier. And this regular season is going to come down to the wire. With so many teams wanting that wild card spot. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, till next time.